Chapter 38. Liberation Day 2 Gaorun. How do you repay a debt to a person who has given up the memory of its acquisition? He showed her how to walk between the realms without catching the eye of the Druge mother, but the accursed guardian, the rash ray, wouldn't let them pass until its price was paid. Time is not so linear as is commonly believed. In some realms the gears spin slower, faster, or even in new directions entirely. The rash ray's domain lays between all others, where time loses all meaning. She left first but arrived second, reinserted into a timeline she'd left years before. He was delighted when he found out that he was the one who sent her to Midguard, completing the circle, knowing that one day she would reach for that beam of light, initiating a chain of events, ensuring that his future would align with his past. When she still believed she was the last female Val Kren Gen-O, she was glorious, capable of such sublime carnage. Her three-tailed return was a surprise. He had wondered if it was the same person until she bested Korbajani. There were multiple instances of her now, which her made that deal with the rash ray. If she listened to his insistent pleas and met with him, he could have warned her about the Kaylani plot, making all this unnecessary, compounding his dilemma in the process. Since then he'd coordinated with Grax to oversee the overthrow of the Echelon government, but if a Druge did a good deed and nobody is there to see it, did it happen? Metador Gaorun, one of the servers said from the doorway. The hunt was successful but there were some injuries and the Jagaltim's harness failed. Put him in the meat freezer for now and call for Eve and her brother if needed, Gaorun instructed. Yes, Metador. The server bowed and started for the door. Wait, once you've dealt with that, Gaorun grinned, invite the others to dine with me. Be as insistent as you must. He returned to his thoughts once they left. What would now be required to free him from these chains of fate? Only the rash ray knew, and it lacked both a language and a mouth to speak. Your assistance is appreciated, a red-scaled Pharisine said as she stepped out of the computer center into his office. Did your access to the deep space array bear fruit, Cyril? Yes. The meeting went well, Cyril responded. The Colmion situation is precarious but under control, but that's not really what you're asking, is it? Not at all, Red Scale. Gaorun grinned slyly. I've given you what you've asked for. Reciprocate or there won't be a next time. Ernst Smith, she said. He's a Shishon that looks like a white Cheshire. He's been spotted in Taz Corp space. I can give you the coordinates for a nominal fee, but do make sure to be thorough. He was a researcher for the Super Cayman project which gave birth to the Vulpine species. He'll just be cloned by one of his subjects once his demise is confirmed. Super Cayman cloned by a secretary? Gaorun scowled. Never underestimate the value of good help, Cyril smiled toothily then started heading out the door. I'll be in touch, Gaorun rumbled. I'm counting on it, Druge. The word was a curse on her lips, but her smile persisted. It was a simple enough task to ensure the compliance of the A-room woman. Appliance of a little pressure on hospital administrative staff was all it took. The Cayman woman was another matter. Alliance Arms worked under the authority of the third branch of the Great Oak Forshana. In his role as the second branch, his edicts could be disregarded by the raven-haired proprietress. Hyrule may be his domain, but Alliance Arms stood in stark defiance. Perhaps his little show of power didn't go as intended with the co-owner. He didn't grovel for the summoner who called him and Kivaza to their realm, and he had no intention of bowing before some Cayman in hopes of gaining their favor. With any luck the little bitch would not keep his guest of honor waiting long. Cassie. She knew some Lamentic words but just the important ones. He got sick when she was really little. Then her first mother sent her away to other place. They wanted to know why she survived when others die fast. Her father she did not know, but he did bad thing to put her inside mother. When she say nice words people gave her things. Ganon told them not to. Second mother said she is belonged to her now and took her gave her special juice, but told her to keep shadow friends secret. Ganon said is better if people not know where she came from. Mother one couldn't do what must be done whatever that is. Second sounded happy to teach her read and write. Bought her new thing to wear too. Still not sure what girl is but calling her this makes second mother happy so is good. Felt funny wear thing tight on shoulders. But breeze like work covers. Second mother try make her wear bottom wrap but cracks there. So not good. Agree thing called skirt instead of panty? Second mother not happy that she did not know her years. Not angry though. That looks different. A person's colors look spiky when angry. Second mother is most green and red with blue in middle that goes far like spider hanging from string. Much prettier than blackish purple color around her. It gets lighter when she makes her nails grow or sends moth messages, but it won't go away. It started when she got sick but most people can't see it. Some people with green color can see it, Lupians and some animals too. She can always tell which because they're afraid of her and try to cower or bite. If second mother sees the yuck she doesn't say. She looks like she's in pain sometimes even when they're not touching her. She says she's small stream, but word isn't right. There is no Lamentic word with this meaning. Sorrow is Terran word. So much is strange but excite too. She will have new family and 2 brothers too. Will have to wear face cover mother say must teach her how use foundation whatever that means. Kiryu. She'd met Gaorun once before. He was terrifying, but her friend needed her. She couldn't leave Nelfree in there alone with that monster. Okay, I'm going, she said insistently while struggling to steady her trembling hands and convince her knees they could carry her weight. Cayman in a convertible, still keeping that racial stereotype alive, Sam chided as she approached the side of the parked hover car. Same old Kiryu. I'm not old, Kiryu barked reflexively. Kiryu's ear twitched at the sound of a timid voice saying something from just behind Sam. No, she's not Lupian, Somri chuckled softly, while ushering a little lamentic girl out from where she'd been hiding behind her. Half of her face was covered by a theatrical mask. Aren't you a little cutie? Kiryu said in Terran Common, and was shocked by the look of fear and confusion in the child's eyes. She's not fluent yet, Sam said apologetically. She only knows. Sam winced and the child darted back behind her as Kiryu attempted to repeat herself in the lamentic language. Was my accent that bad? Kiryu asked. Cass, Somri said forcefully, followed by a rapid succession of lamentic phrases that all blended together. She sighed with visible relief as the little girl let go of her. The problem is your word choice, not accent, Sam said to her with a weak smile. Ask Hina about it sometime. What did I say? Kiryu asked. Hor means small. Harrow has a different meaning when preceded by or. It's a very literal language. Oh, sorry, Kiryu whimpered while covering her teeth with her hand. Don't worry about it. The lamentic tongue is an offshoot of an old Eldorani trade language. It's really complex. Actually, hang on. Somri has a trick for this. Kiryu tilted her head to one side and considered asking why she was referring to herself in the third person, but thought better of it. She whispered under her breath while tracing the mask with her fingernails. That should do the trick, Sam said in common proudly. Can you understand me? Of course, Kiryu scoffed. The child nodded. Not you. Her, Sam grinned while pointing to the girl. I learned it from Akia ages ago. It uses an object as a mystic translator. Try not to say anything weird. What do you mean weird? Kiryu asked. Anything you wouldn't want a little girl hearing, Sam snickered. What? Does it just translate common or something and is it permanent? No, any spoken language, Sam said proudly. I can usually get around an hour out of it, but it doesn't work well with slang. Some words just don't translate. So there are useful knack abilities after all, Kiryu teased. It's a Black Church restricted technique, Somri added. It's a little too useful. It's not a real enchantment, but that didn't stop anyone from trying to profit from it. I wouldn't. Kiryu began to object. Sam smirked. That's bad business, Kiryu scoffed. I'll have you know I'm a respectable businesswoman. Respectable you? Somri teased. I did say businesswoman, right? You did. Sam smiled. Let's go in. With you there to protect me from Gaorun, sure, Kiryu said nervously. Sure. Just leave him to me while you deal with Nelfree, Sam grumbled. Nelfree, Kiryu said in confusion. Oh yeah, she still thinks you're dead. Yeah, I really hope she forgives us, Sam sighed. What do you mean us? Kiryu climbed out of the car as she spoke. My silence was bought and paid for. She knows me. What's your excuse? I should have asked for more. You didn't tell me that her life was going to be in danger. It shouldn't have been, we just needed her to draw out Ravenhawk's operative, Sam insisted. Really? Kiryu growled. I'm guessing the Flaniks didn't get the memo. Flaniks, Samara said in dismay. Kaisray. Cass asked. Oh sorry, Sam said. A Flanix is a six-legged bear dog kitty thing with gold fur. Cass smiled and nodded. Never forget, Kiryu recited a mantra she learned when she was a pup. The Flanix is smarter than you think you are. Sam held out her hand between them as if protecting the child from her claws. I'm not gonna hurt her, Kiryu scoffed. I'm more worried about her hurting you, Sam said. Cass was giggling. Weird kid, Kiryu remarked. Somri took a moment to realign the girl's mask before continuing on their way to the front of Geese Tashios. You know, I can make custom adjustments to that. Kiryu began. You still owe me, Sam interrupted. How about you free up my account before I add any more expenses? That Tyrell guy still has control of it. He shrugged. What? Is 100 galcrets not enough pocket cash for you? Not when I'm paying a gal a glass for fruit juice at Yarrow's, Somri glowered. Kiryu looked her up and down but said nothing. What? Sam balked. It's a bar. It's the lowest alcohol content in the place and doubles as a lamentic test. She looks Terran. White hair, white skin. Sounds lamentic to me. How many second opinions did you need? Kiryu teased. She said it was sour, Sam grumbled under her breath. Etrelani berries are supposed to taste sweet or tangy. As long as she likes it, who cares? Kiryu shrugged. I do, Sam muttered as she stepped up to the door. Kiryu shied away from the massive reptilian doorman. Where are the Orbach brothers today? Sam asked. The sound that flowed from their throat was incredible. It was as if the Gorgalian had two voices, one soft and melodic, the other rich and full. They were likely operatically trained and probably female, although with reptilian species it could be difficult to tell the difference. Internal genitalia make life easier for armorers, but miserable for anyone else. Is that your car? The Gorgalian asked. Nah, it's my boss's. The weather control network has showers scheduled this afternoon. Wait, isn't it? Kiryu began. It's planting season in Hillman territory, so they added 2 days to the rotation, the Gorgalian interrupted. Damn it, Kiryu growled as she stomped back to the car. We'll meet you inside, Sam called after her. No you won't, Kiryu barked, doubling her pace. Putting the top up was a mild annoyance, but at least it reminded her about the gear she had in the back for Yuri. It would have been embarrassing if she forgot that. Some professional, eh? And after all that time haggling with one of Bruha's contacts. Sure, it's used, but she needed it, and as the saying goes, friendship's greed brings friendship's need. Oh wait, that's not it. Well, close enough. Once the top was up and packages retrieved, she made her way back to where Sam was waiting for her. The Gorgalian held open the thick, heavy door until they passed. If you're not at least as strong as an average Gorgalian, you're not opening that door, Somri explained to Cass. Even using Kobe Tamj, I'd have a tough time of it. What about Yuri? Kiryu asked. Easily, Somri laughed. Their musculature is twice as dense. Even as a kid he's stronger than they'll ever be, and unlike his brother he's got Kobe Tamj. Cass said something. Oh, Zika has mystrionics, Sam replied. Kiryu smirked. She dealt with enough knack nonsense at work. If one more idiot called asking her to design a weapon based on some ancient Terran movie, she was gonna. Not bad, Sam said as they followed a server through the front portion of the restaurant. They used to have a hunting lodge motif. They have more of a family restaurant vibe now. Sounds rustic, Kiryu shrugged. I was thinking grisly, Sam said with a noticeable shudder. All those dead animals staring at you. Kiryu couldn't imagine the Lady Darkseid she knew having that sort of reaction. Somri was unmistakably a herbivorous Samsar, and unlike Kali. She grinned to herself as she imagined them trying to decide on a restaurant. This way please, the server said as he ushered them through a door beyond the bar area on the far side of the room. So what was that about a Flanix? Sam asked. We had some difficulty with meat preparation, the server replied. Jagal Tim blood's over 1,000 degrees and has a high acidity. What happened to Yuri? Samara raged. We've been instructed to keep him in the freezer, the server said. I've got it right here, Kiryu interjected urgently, thrusting the replacement harness into the server's hands. She swiftly turned her attention to Somri and explained that the makeshift harness had failed. Sam relaxed noticeably. The server was a fairly young-looking Terran, although she wasn't sure which variety. Her blue-green differentiation was poor, which was a common defect among Cayman. She suspected they were Darien, not Udbar, otherwise they'd have intuited just how much danger they were in. I'll take care of this as soon as, he began. Now, Somri said forcefully. I'm sorry ma'am, but I'm under orders too. His tone sounded professional at first. Now, Somri said though bared teeth. I doubt she'll ask again, Kiryu said. Did it sound like I was asking? Sam smirked. Cass giggled. Kiryu's ears twitched at the sound. Something about that child just wasn't right. There was an intense malevolence in what should have been a jovial sound. I'm sorry ma'am, but Gaorun instructed me to. With a loud thump he fell to his knees, clawing desperately at his throat. Bring me my son, Sam ordered, then released him from her control. Kiryu looked on in horror as Cass continued to giggle. Udbar are supposed to be able to tell when they're about to be attacked. I guess he's blue not green, Kiryu mused as he rushed off. She'd always wondered what it felt like. Then again, Cayman are supposed to be able to tell when strong knack powers are activated, but her fur stirs all the time and nothing ever seems to happen. It's probably just paranoia. For his sake, she hoped he didn't return without Yuri. Somri's mood had clearly soured, and Kiryu was grateful her frustration was pointed elsewhere. It didn't take long to retrieve him. The creepy lamentic child stared up at her while Sam played the part of the doting mother talking to Yuri and checking for any injuries. Yuri apparently had some sort of regenerative ability. Watching them carry on reminded her of her own mother, but she didn't dare mention how overbearing her mother's overprotective streak felt at times. She spent some time adjusting the harness so that it fit appropriately. Kind little Somri doting on massive Yuri was kind of cute. He was likely larger than the door guard and stronger too, she was willing to bet. From what she could make of their conversation, Yuri had been bitten on the shoulder and wasn't willing to let his mother heal it completely. It sounded like he wanted to show it off to his brother. Kids. Throughout the entire exchange, the little girl kept staring at her. The constant doting on Yuri might have been adorable were it not for the look in the little girl's face. She looked like she was about to eat Kiryu's soul at any moment, but I suppose what else would you expect from a Lamentic? But then again, it might have had more to do with the mask. Kiryu had always understood why the living doll concept was so terrifying. Worse yet that half of the child's face was her own. She wanted to know what was underneath the mask but was afraid to ask. She did her best to try to ignore the child. It impressed her how maneuverable Yuri was. He looked so big and clumsy but wasn't. All of the knife racks, all of the tables with partially prepared food, all of the servers. He maneuvered through all of them effortlessly. "This way please," the server said as he led them through the back of the kitchen into a private dining room. The walls were covered in frescoes depicting strange scenes like she had never seen before. There were 9 panels that she could see easily, each with its own strange scenery. One looked like it was vines entwined around the entire world. Another looked like it was looking at you with a multitude of eyes and mouths. Another was of an empty-looking plane. She averted her eyes. Nelfree was crying, sitting in the corner of the room. "I thought you were dead. Why did you do that to me? Why did you let me believe that?" Kiryu opened her mouth to speak. Nelfree glared at her and said, "Not you, her. I can't see in your head anyway. I'm sure she put you up to lying to me. I may be a piss-poor excuse for an empath, but I know that much. I can feel it in her." "We needed to find out who was the agent for Raven Hawk," Somari said in her own defense. "You don't understand," Nelfree said. I think I died. They sent me into the woods. They sent me out the east gate walking to my death. I remember being clawed at. I remember the feeling of ripping flesh. I remember the sound of my arm being torn away. I remember it all. And I had to live it over and over again while those kids tried to put me back together. Where were you? Why did you do this to me?" Nelfree began to weep again. "That's not the way it was supposed to happen," Somari stammered. "I didn't know. I couldn't have foreseen." The room seemed to darken as Gaorun entered it. Strange shadows seemed to play about the room, stopping just before the small child. As Sam continued to try to calm Nelfree, Kiryu watched Gaorun in horror. She wasn't likely to forget what he put her through and the state that Nelfree was in when he found her. If Sam wasn't such a good customer, Kiryu would have a much easier time holding this against her, but she was a good customer. The little lamentic child wasn't the only child in the room. With all the commotion, Kiryu hadn't noticed the other until just now. A short, blue-haired girl that was probably a few years older than the lamentic child was standing behind Gaorun. "Eve," Gaorun said, "tend to the boy." "Yes, sir," the blue-haired girl said obediently. "No marks. But I want scars. They look badass. I was bitten by a phalanx and it broke its teeth on me." "If I rewind it, the phalanx might get its teeth back," Eve cautioned. "It's fine. It's dead," Gaorun said with a cruel grin. The young girl approached Yuri. "Can I at least make sure part of its teeth aren't still in you? Can that happen?" Nelfree stood. No. I'll examine him. I'm not letting you put him through what you put me through." The little lamentic girl was staring at Gaorun. "You are the same color as me," she said. Kiryu looked at them in confusion. "You're white. He's kinda brown-gray." The little girl looked embarrassed. "Never mind. Yuri, I'd like to introduce you to your little sister. This is Cass." Sam said, "Hi, Cassie." Yuri sounded remarkably formal. "You pronounced it wrong, but we'll work on it. And be nice." "What do you mean, Mama?" "I was being." Sam put her hands on his shoulders and looked down at his hand. "I saw that. Yes, she has a face," Sam smirked. "Okay, she's scary. She's like 1/10 of your size. You cannot be scared of her." Somari laughed then added, "She's lamentic. She will grow up quicker than you, but she will always be smaller." "That's okay. The Orbach brothers are smaller too, but they don't scare me like she does." Sam looked at Cass, but Kiryu wasn't sure how to interpret the expression. "I'm sorry I scary to people, I don't mean to do it," a tiny little voice said. "How old is she?" he asked. "Am I her big brother or little brother?" "Honestly, I'm not sure. Just under 3 by my count," Gaorun snickered. Sam's head snapped to the side to look at him. "How would? Never mind. I don't want to know." Nelfree, having gone into nurse mode, was completely composed by the time she finished her examination. "He'll be fine," Nelfree said appraisingly. Gaorun turned to Eve. "You're dismissed. You can return to the orphanage now." "I'm assuming I shouldn't ask," Sam said. "Probably not," Gaorun said as Eve rushed out of the room. "You know, I do own an orphanage," he said eyeing the little girl. "No. She's mine." "Mama Sam," Yuri whimpered. "What? Would you rather stay with him?" "No. If he doesn't want him, I can put him to work," Kiryu grinned. "Can I? I guess I just have to write up a guide to Zagalteam body language for them," Sam taunted. "Mama, don't," he sounded panicked. "You'll just have to accept it, you're mine too," Somari chuckled. "If you still want to work there when you're older, we'll talk." Kiryu smiled to herself. It was nice to not be the only greedy little bitch in the room. She wondered if Sam even recognized it in herself. Gaorun clapped his hands together to signal the servers who filed into the room with numerous serving trays. He may have provided some roughage for the two herbivores in their midst. The main course was obvious and vindictive. The Flaniks had taken a bite out of one of them. It was their turn now. At first, Kiryu wasn't sure how to feel about eating a creature regarded as being sentient, but Nelfree clearly had no objections. She may be from an omnivorous species, but you wouldn't know it from the way she went after the meat on her plate. It would have been nice if Gaorun had mentioned they were eating one of the Flaniks' pups before they were jowls deep in it. But why start pretending to have any decency now? Despite any moral qualms, Kiryu had to grudgingly admit it was tasty. It'd probably sit easier in her stomach if Yuri didn't insist on preforming a grisly puppet show using the pup's skull to make Cass laugh. Gaorun spoke quietly with Sam while they ate. Even with her superior hearing, their conversation was lost to her due to Yuri and Cass's antics and the sound of Nelfree's cutlery. "Stop it," Nelfree snapped. "What did you say about Syntholo?" Of course she heard that. Kiryu mused one-track mind as always. Samari ignored the outburst. "Tell Grax I need to find him. I need advice on how to train Cass. I don't have any direct experience with Dark Force." "Grax is yours to command. Consider it done," Gaorun hissed. "And what should I do about the Lamentic?" "Small galaxy," Samari sighed. "She'd make a good trainer, but her Sam is dead. Leave me out of it." Kiryu reached over and placed her hand over Nelfree's mouth to silence her. "We'd love to provide him with updated equipment if it'll help," Kiryu interjected while eyeing Nelfree. Any information about his whereabouts or well-being she could conveniently leave where her best friend would find it. "You must tell me," Gaorun asked with a crooked grin. "Did you know you'd be Samsarn one day? Was this all part of your plan or was it providence or happenstance?" Sam shrugged. "Racism actually. I really hate what the Sheeler did to the Samsarn. I was part Eldrani. As their creators, it offends me. Being brought to their knees by a member of a race they've subjugated for nearly 50,000 years does appeal to me." "So, would you say this is personal?" "Yes, definitely," Samari said with a steely glare. He met her gaze with a mischievous grin. "And what of the Karzon?" "Mostly diversion. I'm willing to provide ship designs and lend some support, but they have to fight their own battles. If DEFCON falls, that's a nice bonus," Sam said with an unnerving calmness. Kiryu averted her attention. This was all too much for her. They were casually discussing toppling empires like it was commonplace. Once their discussion was finished, Gaorun left to attend to an issue with the planetary security staff, or more specifically, vanished into the shadows. Cass asked something in an excited tone. "I'm not sure," Sam answered. "Maybe. Under Mystrionics it's light manipulation, while the lack of light, I guess. The Darklings might know more, but I think it's a racial trait for them. Wait a minute, I don't think Gaorun has an actual knack either." "He's terrifying enough without one," Kiryu snickered. "Scarier than me," Samari teased. "Overprotective mother versus drudge, I'll have to get back to you," Kiryu giggled. "If the little ones are in danger," Nelfree smirked, "my money's on the mother." "Since when are you a gambler?" Kiryu laughed. "It's not a gamble," Nelfree scoffed. "Most of my money goes to the church, so it's not like I have much to lose." "You should leave the church and come work for me," Samari grinned. "It pays better." "No sale," Nelfree said dismissively. "I'm not driven by money. That's her thing. Friends are worth more to me. That reminds me, how much did you sell me out for?" "That's not fair," Kiryu objected. "She gave me her word you wouldn't get hurt." "I really am sorry about that," Samari frowned. "If I knew." "Hang on, is that why you're offering me a job? Feeling guilty?" "I was hoping to get you out of that stupid vow. I've learned a thing or two about being tricked into making promises lately," Sam said while staring at a ring on her finger. "I made a commitment to the church," Nelfree insisted. "Tell me, wouldn't you rather make a commitment to Syntholo?" Sam said knowingly. "That's not fair," Nelfree complained. "So much for friendship," Kiryu teased. "Don't worry, semen is thicker than water." "Isn't the expression blood is?" "Never mind, I know you. And besides, he has his own oath to the Kailani Dominion." "That was before he was sent into exile," Sam teased. Nelfree stammered. "Do I have to answer now?" "No," Sam laughed. "Give me some time to find him first." "Wait," Nelfree said cautiously. "If you want me to work for you, how does Syntholo fit into all this?" "The E2 will need medical attention. I do hope you don't mind helping with a recently discovered Terran subbreed." "Really?" Nelfree said excitedly. Sam nodded, then turned to face Kiryu. "Before Gaorun gets back, want to help me pick a new name for Cass. It was one of Gainan's conditions for letting me bring her home with me."